An evening with Dr. Nick Thompson.
Huh? Ja, hy maak my moeg.
An evening with Nick Thompson. Het jy net gevind
We're keeping them waiting, nee. Ja.
Ja,
dis live. Ek kan nog nie sien of ons live is nie.
Ons is live, ja. Ons is live.
Cool.
Het jy 'n end knoppie op jou app waar jy kan druk end?
Ja.
So rooi. Okay, so jy okay.
Facebook is live now. And there we are. Ag nee, my goeie genigtig ons. So nou kry ek dit alweer nie. Oh my word.
Dit ging te kans.
Dit het opgekom gesê ons is live.
Wat ek gesien het is hallo Annelies, julle is live.
Is ons live? Sien sy ons? Okay, vanaand gaan ek gaan nie vanaand na die antwoorde kyk nie, okay? Jy kan dit doen. Of jy vra kry.
You vra.
Hello everybody. Okay, so listen, we are having a real South African moment in England, in England. I mean, it's not even in London.
Yeah.
Nick has just messaged me and said that they've got a huge big problem and the electricity board is cutting his electricity because there's something that fall on the wires and they need chainsaws to clear trees from power lines and I don't know what have you all. And very short notice. And unfortunately, he won't make tonight, but he promised next week. We're not gonna hold our breaths, but I'm sure he will make next week. He's been apologizing profoundly, his words to me was, "It sounds like South Africa," because if I know how many times we have to cancel or postpone things because of electricity things, so now I don't feel so bad anymore. Okay, but it's one of those things that's totally out of his control and of our control. But we are totally rescheduling with him next week. That is for sure. Okay, I just thought, Antonette, without cancelling, instead of cancelling, I think we must make use of this because I've been bombarded with questions about allergies and skin itchiness and things like that, and I thought, maybe it's a good thing to just have an informal, casual chat about skin allergies and itchiness and how we can maybe address it to a certain thing. So I hope everybody's okay with that. And please, just punish Nick for not being available tonight. Send us lots and lots of questions. We're going to keep him busy and make him sweat for his session next week. So, so I'm quite happy if everybody is happy with that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing, it's all the cliches. We're rolling with the punches. We're thinking on our feet, all of it is coming out tonight because and I think that's the way we're just put together in South Africa in general, boer maak 'n plan type thing. So if Nick's not here,
from my I
know we're constantly making plans.
Yeah, that's how we roll. I think we do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Itching is definitely. I get so many people asking questions about itchy dogs, and this time of year. So I think let's kick off and just a quick run through. Why do you think so many dogs are itchy lately?
So this is something that's increasing dramatically on a day-to-day basis, and over the years, it's just more and more dogs are so itchy, and especially during seasonal changes. And I think that's why we've got a increased nutritional requests currently from Pawz and Raw side, because so many dogs are having either spring or autumn is really big triggers. And pet parents are saying, my dog doesn't want to stop scratching. And the go-to for that is normally the vet saying, oh, it's allergy, skin allergy, food allergy, skin allergy, environmental allergy, and let's do some horrific injections and things like that. But there is something that I really want people to understand. Itching is not a diagnosis. It is a symptom. Okay, it is something that's coming from somewhere. It is the body's way to tell us there's something wrong, and there's a red flag saying, sorry, something internally is not working so lekker. Sorry guys, my nose are itching. The skin is actually quite limited in how it can express a problem. So it can get red and it itches and it becomes inflamed because it's itching and it's red, it becomes inflamed. Okay, and then we've got so many other things that goes from there on, that goes wrong from there onwards. All those signs can actually just point to very different underlying causes. It's not just one thing. It is normally a multiple combination of things that's causing it. It points to different underlying causes. It points to internal. I don't actually know how to start explaining what is all the things that can go wrong. But the key point is the mistake that we often make is treating the itch itself. We're treating the symptom and not the cause. And we do not stop and ask, why is the body reacting in the first place? And that is why where it starts to go wrong and why it starts going wrong for so many pet parents, is because we are treating the symptom and not the cause. So, yeah.
Retha, can I just interject here? Because obviously when the dog is itching and it's scratching to the point where it's breaking the skin, would the treating the itch help relieve the scratches, but you still need to do the address the underlying issue, obviously. But can we give them some relief?
I always use my beagle pack as an example. That's the reality for me. I'm currently got a little Baggins with a cone, and he doesn't like his mom at all, because I think I have mentioned that we've got a major flea problem here, and I am struggling, and I've tried everything. And he has had, obviously sometimes last week, he's had a bite or something, and he started licking the front of his leg, and he's biting, and now it became a wound. Okay, so I have treated the symptom to try and relieve the itch to a certain extent that I could do it, but by not getting rid of the cause, that doesn't go away. You can relieve it, you can minimize the severity of it, but in the end now I've got a very frustrated dog with a cone of shame around his neck, because he is actually making is gone into biting himself that it bleeds. Okay. He has developed a flea allergy because I can't find any fleas on him since Sunday. But his body is reacting. So now I've got to get his body to be able to deal with the itch and what this allergy is caused in order to heal. So did I answer your question?
Yes, I think because it's like a two-pronged thing almost. Obviously, you want to relieve the dog's frustration, but you need to find out what the issue is to make sure that long-term it's fixed. It's like the question about, I suppose, do we medicate dogs for behavior without giving a behavior plan? They both have to go together.
That's very important. And what I find in practice a lot, especially when it comes to diet, because the go-to is I cannot tell you how many people we get and clients we get and start contacting and thinking about a raw diet because their dogs are itchy. I think 90% of all our clients, that is the cause. Okay, and changing diet is the long-term plan, but it doesn't reduce the itching. Sometimes you do. Sometimes it really literally takes a few days and the itching stops totally. But what I found over the last 12, 13 years is that I'm getting less and less and less of those scenarios where it is solved. Okay, because because everything in our environment and our pet's health and the immune system is getting so much more complicated in order to do that. So it is not a quick fix. It's a very complicated situation, and I don't think pet parents really understand it. And then our dearest darling vets that wants to put them on some blue kibble manufacturing product that is for skin defense and so on and so forth, confuse the matter even more. And then there is this medicine that they have, and that is where cortisone and comes in, where it suppresses the immune system, and the same with cytopoint and apiqual and all those things that is being used in order to relieve that. So very often my advice to clients or pet parents is don't stop that immediately, because when they come to us, they say my dog is on cytopoint or it is on apiqual and it is getting cortisone injections and things. We never stop that immediately, because you still want the dog to have some form of relief, because it is actually so terrible seeing a dog scratching all the time or biting or licking. I mean, I'm sure many of you guys that's listening would understand or is experiencing this type of scenario. So it is not a quick fix, and it is some patience and weaning them off of medicine and to relieve the immediate discomfort is the aim, but to get the immune system so strong and their body strong enough that they can go through the next change of season without issues or come or figure out the cause of it, because that's also very difficult, because our dogs can't talk. They can't tell us this is what's happening. This is how it makes me feel. I've been stung by a bee, or a mosquito bit me, or something like that. We don't know. So we are taking we're playing a guessing game, and we're trying the best. Diet does play a big role.
It's almost like a elimination process. So you always kind of start with, is it external? So parasite, environmental, and checking off that list. And if it's nothing on there, then you working towards more biological, I suppose.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're looking at environmental allergens like pollen, grass, dust mites. That is seasonal, and some dogs has only got it in. Some dogs are summer dog, are autumn dogs, and some dogs are spring dogs. Some dogs get it really heavy in autumn, but nothing in spring. Some dogs is brilliantly over autumn and winter, and when spring comes, it is that again. So there's no one dog that reacts and is the same. Some dogs, it's environmental. We get some dogs that has got food sensitivities or intolerances that's causing it and that's triggering it. And that food sensitivities is much more common than what people actually realize. And it's I hope you've noticed that I don't talk about allergies, food allergies. I'm talking about food sensitivities, because there's a huge difference. And allergies and sensitivities it's almost like the same, but different. So you've got to look at what is true food allergies and what is a sensitivity, and that is a huge debate for a year almost, I feel, because it's something that you never get the real answer on that. So cool. And when I'm talking about food sensitivities, I'm not just talking about grain. It could be a specific protein. I sometimes found that everybody always advise, if you look on social media and everywhere, everybody always advise and say, take your dog off chicken, it's chicken. But it's not always chicken, but chicken is a big culprit, but it's not always chicken. I know I've had a client, I don't know, maybe Lee is watching, but Penelope is one of those dogs that we were doing elimination diets, and then when we did the IgE and IgA testing, it came out that she's actually fine to eat chicken and beef.
Actually, Leanne is on. She asked a question. I'll read it to you. Leanne, I know, itchy dog mom over here. Penelope struggles immensely with the itch. Cause one, immune system is not strong enough to build up a tolerance towards what causes her allergies. And I find this, she says, I find this the biggest one. Her stress caused by the humans' stress environment?
So usually a stress environment can have. So, I mean, and that's something that I actually wanted to say as well. It's not just the environment and the allergies and the pollens and those things. It's also the environment inside the house. How things happens. And I mean, we've got good intentions, but we might do something that is stressing our dogs out so much. And we do not know that. And that causes the immune system to respond. We can have things in the house. The vacuum cleaner can stress this dog out so much that it causes that. Because, I mean, I take myself, for example. If I'm going through a stress or an emotional time in my life, I get sick immediately. When Riley passed away, I got sick. The next day, I had bronchitis. I was so sick, I couldn't get better. No matter what I did, no matter what medicine I took, I didn't get better because my immune system went for a nosedive like crazy. The same applies to our dogs. When something happened in their lives, whether it is mom leaving for work every morning and I've got anxiety, separation anxiety, whether it is I don't like the gardener that's coming in, whether it is, it can be such. There can be so many factors that causes this dog to stress. It affects the immune system. How do we deal with that? With difficulty. And that is, we've got to find a way that we can support the dog to build a stronger immune system. And that's where food comes in, because foods help you to build a better and a stronger immune system. But usually when there's stress involved, you're sitting with with leaky gut or a gut stress on the gut, and that's where it all starts. So if we can build up a better immune system through a diet, then it helps. For us humans, when you're going through a really stressful time, your doctor usually say, up your omega intake, up your magnesium intake, and up your zinc intake, because that's the thing that helps build immunity and helps your gut. Take good probiotics. So it's all those things. We actually know the answers because we are told what to do for ourselves when we're going through things, stressful times. And we can see what it does for us. So a dog doesn't get bronchitis or pneumonia or dogs actually do get a lot of diarrhea because of stress. But it is what advice we are getting medically: up your omegas, do more magnesium, do more zinc, do this probiotics for you, is also things that we can apply to our dogs to help their guts feel better and get better. Things like fleas, mites, dust mites, mold in your house that you can, guys, we can't see all the mold in the house. I listened to somebody a while ago, international podcast about, and I know in America it's much worse than here, but I tell you, we, especially people living in the Western Cape or in KZN, mold hides and we don't see that, and it affects us as humans just as much as it affects our pets. Gets affected just as much as us humans gets affected. Then there's other things that's also playing a big role in allergies or itchy skin, and it seems it's not that obvious. Things like hormonal imbalances. Okay, I did say gut health, anxiety, and stress that manifest in the body, and that has got an effect. The hormones has got an effect on that as well. So that is always a good thing to. If your dog has been spayed or neutered at a very early age, is to actually look at what is the hormone levels in your dog and how it can be supported with hormones throughout to trying and make that better.
It's interesting you say that. Yeah, we had a dog that came into rescue, and he had like a patch, like a black patch skin. It's obviously where he's been scratching, and I think you get that thickening when it gets really bad. And the vet also said that he thinks it's hormonal and it might be to do with the thyroid. So is there a link there with the thyroid, with itching?
Yes, and that is normally So that's one of the more rarer, actually not that rare, but it's more difficult cases to that. There you're going to need some blood tests that can show you that and help you do that.
Okay.
Treat and
Yeah, sorry, I just threw that
deal with
in
it.
there now. So sorry if I caught you off
No,
guard, but I
no.
just found it interesting when you were talking about the hormones and then thyroid thing popped into my head.
So
Because it's not something
definitely,
that I would
you got.
kind of have thought of. Yeah.
And I actually do. So I've had two beagles, Leia and Titan, both was extremely itchy from the day we got her from the breeder and had her in our hands. Leia was scratching, and Titan stayed with the breeder a little bit longer. They wanted to keep him as a show dog, and when he went home to his owner before he became our baby, he had a bald patch on his back, like this poor dog looked like he had mange. And I had amazing vets in Joburg. Okay. And never once did they say it's hormonal. In fact, they encouraged me to spay Leia early to get rid of the itching. Okay. So I don't think vets always, I don't want to say they don't know it, because I do think they know it, but I think sometimes they look at the immediate obvious things in front of it and say, let's do the cortisone, and those type of things. And they forget to go and look further. They forget to go and look at the hormones, the thyroid, and the other things that's not that obvious. Because they're looking for a single answer. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reality is that it's usually a much more layered and compounded answer than just a single answer. Food allergies. That's so easy to say, it's food allergies. Yeah.
I just want to go on another tangent now. When you mentioned puppies, I was reading something today that what the mum eats has a huge impact on the pups. And I think also the environment that the pups are kept in. If they're kept in a sterile environment, how is that going to affect them when they go to their homes? Because
it's pretty much the same as with what my belief is with babies. If you've got a baby that you never allow to crawl and everything gets sterilized on a constant base, you're going to sit with a child that's got immune deficiencies, because it doesn't get the skin. Remember, we're talking about the gut biome and the gut microbiome that has got a huge affection, but we also have the skin biome. So by allowing the skin to absorb in dirt, it's like soil-based probiotics that comes in contact with the skin. It is good for our puppies. So if they live in a very, very clean, sterile environment, and they all of a sudden come to Antonette on the farm and now live a farm dog life, their skin is not going to have no idea what to do with what it's got contact with now. And so there's so many things that has got so much influences on our dog's health. Yes, the mom and what it eats and deworming and all the things that happens to the mom, and the mom's biome has also got a huge effect on it. Here's another thing is that I know pediatricians and everybody say that a baby that's been born with a C-section has got hasn't got such a strong microbiome like a baby that's been born naturally. And the same with puppies. They get so much, there's so much to say for being born through a birth channel and getting the exposure, because these biome things that gets transferred during the birthing process. So puppies that has been born with C-section usually has got a weaker immune system, and it's got to be, and normally also puppies that's been born with a C-section doesn't get to suck on mom immediately, because mom is still recovering, and mom has now got a lot of anesthetics in her system that has got a huge effect on the microbiome and a huge effect on the puppy that needs to build this immune system, whatever. And also a mom that's had a C-section, it takes a little bit longer for her milk to come in and the colostrum. So the puppy has got at least a few hours longer before it gets that essential thing from a puppy that was just born and put onto mom's teats to start sucking immediately. So it always it's got a huge effect on immune systems and yeah, what happens with our puppy's health in the future.
You know, then if you think about it from an ethical point of view, if you have a breed that cannot give natural birth, then we shouldn't be doing that, should we?
I'm not going to go into that. I've got a very strong opinion about that. I can get very
on.
I'm just going to say
on
this.
From that one. Inflammation. Let's talk a bit about inflammation.
Okay. Inflammation is a very interesting thing because inflammation can
sorry, I just my brain just goes to places sometimes. Let's do inflammation.
I can get very rude with that one with clients. Your breed, you choose the breed, you deal with the problems about it. People don't do their research. Okay. Inflammation. What's the question about inflammation?
Yes, let's talk about inflammation, please.
Cool. Ask me, what do you want to know about inflammation?
No, I think just how that plays a role in the itching as well, you know, because we know carby food weakens or causes inflammation. So how does that translate into potential itching?
Inflammation is like very much, so if your alpha-linergic acid is high in your body, okay, it means your body is overall inflamed. And that can have such a effect on joints, on gut, on everything. Okay, the skin is the biggest organ in the body, and usually that is the easiest way of. So think about a balloon. If a balloon, it's a big area where the air is trying to expand from that. That's why it's expanding. And the same with the skin. The skin is a very big area. So when the inflammation needs to get out of the body, it's basically moving towards that side. But what happens with inflammation as well, which is a big, how can I put this now? If you are overall inflamed, okay, your whole body is under stress and is trying to react. So your body is then producing antihistamines, which is trying to take the inflammation and the cause away, and then the body attacks itself. And that's making it worse and getting the inflammation, it's triggering it even more. And that's quite a lot where nutrition then comes in. Because if you can up your omega-3s and lower the ratio between omega-3 and 6 in your diet, then it's normally a good combat to inflammation. And omega-3s is usually it's usually a very golden key or golden ingredient in trying to bring inflammation down. And then it's also important to know is to what degree is the inflammation affecting the skin or the body, everything. Because I mean, if it's got to the point where you now have got pyoderma, that is the inflammation, and it's becoming pussy and sores and things like that, then you're going to need to try and deal with it, not just you can't just ignore it because it's getting worse. And then it becomes bacterial infections, and it just becomes a vicious circle. So it's important to try and feed a diet that is less inflammatory. So when I deal with a dog that's highly inflamed, and that's when you'll see that is not just on the skin. That's when you'll have ears infection in the ears, and that will be really bad and getting bad. And it's part of yeast, and it's becoming this big, huge, gooey mess of what is it, what is causing it. So it's usually ears, paws. Some dogs' eyes can get very teary, and it looks like almost like they've got tears. They've got tear stains, but it looks almost like it's bloody tear stains that's coming down the eye. And if you can work and get the inflammation under control, then you can start healing the gut first. So sometimes in certain cases, antibiotics is really important. And it's important to use the right antibiotics and not overuse it, because otherwise you can become resistant and then nothing works in it. So
okay.
Next question, or do you want me to carry on with it? So anybody got any other questions?
I think you've answered the inflammation question very well. Thank you, Retha. All the other thing. So I think just to quickly maybe just summarize, so my dog's itching. What's the first things that I must do? Like step by step. So I've got a little plan in my head.
First of all, stop, take a breath, and try and zoom out. Try and look at the bigger picture.
Okay.
When your dog is scratching, it is, for me, it is actually like PTSD. Okay, it is very traumatic, and it's uncomfortable for the dog. And I feel sorry, and I feel there's nothing that I can do with it. So my first instinct will be to fix it right away. So first instinct is to grab the cortisone. Okay, so I always say, and I mean, I'm also guilty at it. Take a breath, step a little bit back, and let's look at it, because I mean, for us, it's heartbreaking if a dog is suffering. But the truth is, it's not something you fix immediately. And that's the stuff that didn't. Okay. So instead of asking, how do I stop the itching, which is the symptom focusing question, I always try and encourage pet parents to say, what is my dog's body trying to tell us? Okay. And that's a small shift in thinking changes that just makes it a little bit easier for us as pet parents to manage it better. Because what is happening if we stop and breathe? We are stressing less, and the stress effect and the anxiety that we are projecting to our pets also is getting less. So immediately we are breaking that stress bond, and we are just taking a deep breath and get calm. Okay. And it's a small little shift that changes a little bit in it. And that also changes how we approach the problem. So from there on, we must start looking at the whole picture. And I try and help clients with that. A lot of people are a little bit more aware, and they can give you a bigger picture about it. But a lot of clients does not do that, and they don't look at it. So the first thing, when I see a new client, I speak to them and I ask them, what's your dog eating? That's the first question I always ask for anybody that comes and say, I want to look at raw. What are they eating? How long have they been on this diet? Okay. And what is the environment like? So that's the questions that I ask. What type of grass? Where are you staying? I mean, those environmental questions. Okay. And then I start asking them, when is it getting better, and when is it getting worse? What time of the day? Itching is worse, then is it worse at night? Is it worse during the day? Okay. So we're trying to, with the reason with that is I'm trying to establish whether it is already a story of we need to deal with the inflammation as well. Okay, or if it's just thing. So I need as much history possible. So when your dog is itching, try and make a little diary and write down on a scale from 1 to 10. In the morning when I woke up, how much did it itch during the night and woke me by scratching? 1 to 10, 1 being nothing, 10 being it was terrible. Okay. Um, and then during the day, how does it scratch? Is he scratching more after dinners, breakfast, dinner, or after eating? Okay. And then if it scratches more after eating, what did it eat? Where is it scratching? Is it scratching around the mouth? Is it scratching paws, licking paws, scratching ears, or just general over the body? Does it scratch more when it's been outside playing? Does it spend a lot of time outside in the grass? What type of grass have you got? Is it scratching more after your gardeners mowed the lawn? Those are the things that's important to know, and making a list of that. What is the medical history of this dog? Have they had repeated rounds of antibiotics, steroids? Because that's important things that we need to know. Or is there some digestive problems alongside skin issues? And then, so when you start mapping all these things together, that gives me a bigger picture, and also it gives me a more holistic view looking at that. And then also, and even for vets that has got a more holistic approach, that will be the picture that makes it more, makes you direct into a solution better, because it's coloring in. You're not shooting in the dark trying to get answers. So it's not just another cream or another injection or another tablet of this. Yeah, we've got a structured step-by-step approach on how to deal with this.
I like the diary idea, and it will work for anything really. I mean, if they've got runny tummy or any condition, it's good to keep a diary, because we do forget.
Oh, totally. And we have got busy lives. And I mean, a lot of people go to work in the morning, and then they work stressed and everything, and you do not remember everything accurately. And if you start writing it down, it gives you such a great
You start
picture.
seeing a pattern as well.
Yeah. And patterns tells us a pattern tells us where to go and look for problems and how to solve the problems.
Yeah. Retha, Iris have left 2 comments. I'm going to read them to you, and maybe we can just have a quick chat about that. First one, she says, a client of mine has had her vet suggest she doesn't vaccinate the older little terrier due to the ongoing skin reactions the dog keeps getting. For now, she has managed to only use Cytopoint when the itching is unbearable, but probiotics and a raw diet are helping to keep the periods in between the breakouts longer, and also the breakouts are less severe. So we'll do that one first.
Okay, so first of all, brilliant vet. I love this, because vaccinations, okay, understand me very clearly. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. There is room for vaccinations. Sorry, guys. There's definitely room for vaccinations. I'm totally against over-vaccination. And when a dog's immune system is down, you definitely do not want to vaccinate. Okay, because you're going to make it worse. Number one, because then you're sitting with true what we call vaccine injury. Okay. And usually with giving a raw diet and doing a good probiotic and starting to heal the gut, you are stretching the periods between Cytopoint or Aqual or cortisone. You do make that longer, and eventually you'll stop doing that. Okay, so that is important, because not all dogs, you can't heal the gut. Some dogs you can heal it quite fast, and you get amazing results. And other dogs, the damage is so bad that it takes a long time. And just when you think you've now got the perfect answer and everything is working, something happens. The dog gets exposed to something, has a bout of diarrhea, and it is back to square one. Okay, so yes. It is a great advice not to do vaccinations when your dog's immune system is down. And if you can find a golden way to stretch these intervals between Cytopoint and other medicine and making the scratching go away. I want to say with Leia, I've had it, and now I need to find some wood to touch, because we have now not used any form of cortisone for 2.5 years. She still
Oh, wow.
scratches. She still scratches. I think she's 11. She will scratch for her. It's part of her. But the severity is not at all that I feel. So we have been on a holistic road since, I think we started when she was 6 or 7 months old, that I realized, okay, now this cortisone injections and everything is not going to be a great solution. And we are going to start doing we started seeing a holistic doctor in Joburg, spend a fortune every month for a long time with him. And then when we got here, she is on holistic treatment. She gets homeopathic medicine that she takes on a daily basis. And it's because she has got severe seasonal allergies. I mean, if they spray the fruit trees on the other side of the mountain and the wind blows it, and you can see how the green tint comes over the mountain, that poor dog's eyes look like somebody has given her the biggest hiding ever. Her eyes are so thick and pussy. But we deal with homeopathic stuff. She's got specific homeopathic remedies that we take, and she has not had any cortisone for 2.5 years. Nothing.
Wow.
Zero. And I mean, we could not, up until the age of 8.5, 9 years, we could not go with no cortisone. I always had to have a rescue in between here and give her half a cortisone tablet for 3 days just to get it under control, that she doesn't suffer that badly. So it does, eventually, if you're on the right treatment and you do the right things, you do get to the point where that is. And just remember, environmental allergies, us as humans, if we've got environmental allergies, does it go away? If you're allergic to a bee, does that go away? It stays. You just learn how to manage it. And what we do with diet and with holistic treatment, you are just making the threshold bigger. So you're making the cup bigger to catch all the and give you time to empty. So I always say to clients, imagine a cup under a tap that drips, and at some stage it's going to run over. So if I put a bigger cup underneath it, I put a pot underneath it, it's going to be easier to empty it before it runs over. And that's what we're doing with diet when you've got a seasonal and environmental allergy scenario. You are just trying to make the threshold higher and bigger so that your dog can handle it and that you can intervene quicker or get it time so that it doesn't overflow. And there's an analogy of allergies or itchy skin is almost like a bucket. And this bucket has got a few holes in. Some you can see. You can see 1 or 2 here that you can see this is holes. And then there's very tiny little holes that you can't see. And you're putting the water in and it keeps on draining and leaking. And you need to patch the holes. And you can patch the obvious ones quite easy. But the small, tiny little ones that you can't see is going to keep on leaking out. And you need to find a way to identify where they are and patch that.
When you mentioned about spraying the fruit trees, golf courses popped into my head. They're probably the most toxic places because they spray so much stuff on the grass, on the greens, on the fairways and everything. And also, I suppose a lot of people want beautifully green manicured lawns. And they spray pesticides. And if you think your dog lays on the grass, it walks on the grass, and it absorbs all of those pesticides. I mean, that must have an impact on the dog at some point.
It's got a huge effect on the gut. It's got a huge effect on the skin biome. And here's the other thing, is you might not spray your garden, your grass. And
but
you can have, I've got weeds on but the guy next door does, or the guy up the road does. And now it rains, and this gets into the water and into the water table, and it goes across everywhere, and it comes back to and we're not even aware of it. Okay. I've got in Somerset West, I cannot tell you how many people I get when it starts raining, that comes in and say, I need to put my dog on a raw diet. I'm desperate. I don't know what to do anymore. I've tried every single thing. My dog is struggling. And the pause and everybody's saying pause and pause and pause. Not so many, so people, some has got ear things, but not as much as what I used to have in Joburg. And then I couldn't
I think we've lost Retha. Thanks, Leanne. Let me just see if I can find her. I thought it was me. It's usually me that disappears. So that's why I'm just sitting there rather politely pretending to listen. Hopefully she'll pop back up. Let me just give her a message quickly. Okay, I'm back. It looks like Nick is haunting us from the UK. Oh, here we go. Add to stage.
I don't know what
Retha's back.
happened. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. It
It was me being very polite, thinking I'm the one that's disappeared again. And then thanks to Leanne, it's like, oh, we lost Retha.
It just went total black. So sorry about that. I've got no idea what's happening. Where did you lose me last?
Oh, don't ask me questions like that. We were talking about grass and the neighbor up the road and rain and getting his pesticides wash into our garden.
So that is a huge big effect that it's got on our dog. So it really is it's one of those things that we can't really control. But if you know that if you suspect it or you see that your dog goes outside and comes back and is more itchy, I always say try and rinse them off. You use something like apple cider vinegar, dilute it in water just to wipe them off. There's many things that you can do. I've advised people that go take their dogs to walk in public parks to, if all else fails, put some shoes on your dog. And I know it's terrible, but I've got one client that's dog's feet, when he comes back from walking in the park, he cannot stop, even if he wipes it off, because it goes into the skin and it gets absorbed. And it is so bad that the dog bites and eats his paws that it starts bleeding. So do not walk your dog there. Then walk it on the tar or walk it on a dirt road where you can at least see there is not things that's hidden and not know what it's about. So that is definitely a big thing. So what we can do if that is a problem, we can help detox the liver. So we can use things like milk thistle or homeopathic thing. Pegasus has got something that says that's liver. Use something to help the dog detox liver, because then it can absorb, then it gets rid of those toxins and it helps a little bit with the gut on that side. So yeah. Sorry, I've lost my whole train of thought with this from losing.
Leanne has made a valid comment. She says, if a dog tends to have environmental allergies, take note of what plants you have in your garden. Some plants can cause flares. We recently moved, and once we moved, Penelope's allergies improved. We realized that there was a specific plant in the old house's garden that was causing constant rashes, bumps, and hives. And that is true. You know, when you're doing your exam about it, is look at the plants, because there's sometimes we don't always realize it. I see with my ridgebacks, I think it's a sensitizing thing, because they love kind of walking under the overhanging trees and the leaves, and it kind of strokes their body. And we don't always realize how the dogs are interacting with the plants, and that can cause an issue.
You know what's the other big thing that can have a huge impact on your dog and the immunity in the gut biome? Syringa trees. Okay, so it is very poisonous. Okay, and a lot of people don't realize it. But some dogs get really, really sick and great, and then the vet says, "Oh, but you've got a syringa and that's it." But my dogs, we had a syringa tree in Joburg, and I couldn't take it off because we were renting at that stage, and the owner didn't want us to take off the tree. So we picked up syringa berries like in 10 times a day. I literally had a gardener that actually, as I fall, he picked up. And we eventually had like things underneath the tree to catch the big berries. But my dogs never ate it. They never ate it. But walking on it still had an effect on allergy reaction. So what I always say to people, if they're not sure, is there's apps that you can do to identify plants, and then do it, and then Google that plant and see if that can be if that can have an effect on your dogs.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know if anyone has any more questions. If you...
Can you see any questions? I can't see any questions.
No, I haven't seen anything else come in. I think, yeah.
So
just one second point. Go on.
One thing that I want to say is consistency and structure are your best friends when you're struggling with these things. Okay, pick sensible starting points to try and give you answers and try and identify the problem. Okay, and if you've got enough, that gives you enough time to work with the problem. Changing diet is your best bet, but it's not always a quick fix. And sometimes you need to go through some elimination stuff to try and get to the root cause of it. It is scary because there is something. 7 out of 10 pets has got allergy issues.
It's bad, eh? It's bad.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you about shedding and how raw benefits the coat. You want to quickly jump on that one?
Yes,
that's a big one.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting. So my neighbors has got lots of dogs. They've got Bassets and they've got Spinonis. And when it's cute, that photo, eh? But anyway, so they, I've always said dogs that's on raw shed less. They definitely do. But my beagles still shed. I sometimes think, oh my word, I can build a new beagle from here. It does shed less, but dogs need to shed. we shed hair as well. We need to shed. That's getting rid of the old to make room for the new. Okay. If there's excessive shedding, I did get a photo yesterday or this morning, I can't remember, from Leanne asking, is this too much? So shedding is a seasonal thing, and it can happen winter and summer, and sometimes in between. It's getting rid of the old coat. Very often when you've got a dog that has been on a kibble diet and that switched to a raw diet, they will shed the old coat, and you'll see a beautiful new coat comes out. Shedding is just part of a breed. So but excessive shedding gets a little bit under control. So my neighbors switched their dogs onto raw, and they've got quite a lot of dogs. So they kept on saying that they can't believe how little their dogs are shedding. But they think they are imagining it because I said they will shed less. So the mom came to visit, and she hasn't been there for a while. So the dogs were on raw for about 8 months, whatever. And then she said one day, listen, guys, I don't know what's going on here, but you've got 5 more dogs than when I visited last. But I used to clean up the house with 3 or 4 scoops of hair a day. And I've been here 5 days and I haven't had even 1 full scoop of hair. So it definitely has got some, and that's got to do with the skin biome and the layer where the epidermis, where the hair follicle grows, and the health of that, and just overall general health. So it definitely does help for that. If you have got a dog that is on raw, so I'm going to interrupt myself now. Raw feeding doesn't mean that dogs are not going to have allergies. Okay, it's just going to make a little bit more tolerant and helping the immune system to get stronger and get better. So if you've got a dog that's on raw, that sheds excessively, now I'm saying excessively, Staffies, Beagles, Bassets, Jack Russells is the worst, sheds is dogs that notoriously shed a lot. Okay, but there should be less shedding. Okay. If a dog all of a sudden starts shedding in excess of normal, then you must go and look, then start doing a diary. What is happening? What's he eating? What's the stress levels? What's the environment doing? Because there will be a trigger. So stress makes dogs shed as well. So if there's tremendous amounts of stress in the environment, then they'll start shedding more. Okay. And then I always say, if dog's coat look a little bit like it's not the way it should be, up your omega-3s, add more sardines, mackerel, salmon, sprats to your food, to your daily routine, and up it. If you are doing a sardine a day, do 2 sardines. You can go up to 20% of the daily food in omega, like sardines or salmon or mackerel or sprats and things like that. In the norm, I always say 10 to 15%. But if you're going through a period where the immune system is being affected and there's stress or there's something that happens, then up it, because you can help combat that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Now I have one more question for you. This one is about cats.
Yes.
Okay. So someone said to me once, or I don't know if you mentioned it, that depending on the cat's diet will stop them making me, the human, allergic to them, if that makes sense. So, because as a kid, I used to be allergic to cats. But then the theory is that if you change the cat's diet, it will be less allergic, cause less allergy to me.
So I'm very, very, very allergic to cats. Since a very small little child, I cannot. I actually get so sick from cats, it's unreal. And I've heard this theory, but couldn't prove it, because how do you prove it? And I've got a client that had 2 cats it was my first cat client that ever fed raw years ago. And they bought raw for their cats, and they had a baby, and we became friends. So I went to go and drop off some groceries when the baby was born, and because they went through a little bit of a trauma, new parents, young parents going through a situation, and we went and dropped off some groceries and a present, whatever. And not thinking, so if I go somewhere and I know this, I've always got antihistamine in my bag for any encounters with cats. And I walked in there, and of course the cat comes straight to me, and I felt I didn't have my handbag with me with my antihistamines, and I didn't want to touch the cat because I knew, and I couldn't get sick at that point. And now they pick up the cat and say hello to the cat, and the cat likes you and whatever. And I don't want to touch the cat because I know what's going to come. And I don't want to say, listen, I want to be polite. And anyway, so we were there for about an hour and a half, maybe an hour, I don't know. Wow. And I kept on thinking, I'm going to start sneezing now, and I'm going to start itching, and my ears are going to get watery and whatever. And we got to the car when we left, and my husband said, did you notice that you are not having any symptoms of allergies? And I thought, interesting thing. 2 days later, we went to somebody else, friends, and I had, because now I don't think, and I didn't think about it. And then I had a huge allergy breakup because the cat was not on raw. And it's happened now that I go to clients that has got cats that's on raw, and I don't have any breakup. So, and I've had some of my clients that's doctors that has had patients with kids that's got allergies, and it's the dog, where he say to them, put your cat on raw, it will change the thing. And it's got to do with the protein in the saliva. And the change of protein in the saliva that's causing that allergy. I don't know exactly how it works. I must be very honest with you, but from what I have discussions with, and it's something that I really need to do more research about, but it's got to do something with this protein in the saliva and the way that, because that is where the allergy comes from. It's in there. It is from the protein in the hair and the saliva when the cat licks or the dog licks. That changes it. So it's something that we can really do a little bit of a poll on, maybe in social media, and ask people about allergies and their allergies and their pets' allergies and what diet it's on. Actually, I think it's something we must ask Anna if they don't want to run a research project on that, because I think it will be a very good, very good case study.
I'm sure there was a big pet food company that were promoting some kind of cat food that stopped you from the human from getting the allergic reaction. So, but I'm gonna have to go and check that out. But it's interesting. I find it very interesting.
No, it's a very good topic to actually go and
Cool. Bananas. So we've done an hour and 3 minutes.
Oh my word! Listen, I can say I hope it wasn't too bad and the disappointment wasn't too big because Nick didn't join us.
I think we made up for it.
It caught me a little bit off guard because I prepared more to have the discussion with him, but we will definitely have him next week, and
we'll grab him by the ear.
We're going to give him a little bit of a difficult South African time. So thank you very much for and indulging in us and my talking all the time. So it was really nice.
I think these impromptu little discussions are good because then we kind of talk about things freely and maybe mention things that we shouldn't be mentioning. I don't know. I think we need to discuss that.
I just like some more notes to prepare a little bit better. Not 10 minutes.
Yeah. My Yeah, but anyway,
I'm not going to
but
meet you
thanks
in 10
everyone for watching, and
minutes time.
it's always a giggle, and I always enjoy
So,
listening
yeah,
to you.
it was that. Thank you. Have a wonderful week.
Great. Are you still there? I'm going to press the end button now. Are you still there? Thank you. Very interesting. Well done. Hope Nick can make it next week.
Cheerio.
We'll grill him. Bye. Bye, everyone.